Well, hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be doing a little bit of an experimental painting. It's nothing too crazy though. I've got a picture that I'm working with. It's a photo I took in Vermont, and it's a sort of a hayfield country scene with a dirt road and grass growing in the middle of it, and a lot of different plants along the roadside, and some trees in the background, some different fields, and then some mountains that I think I'm gonna actually exaggerate and bring them up a little bit higher. It's just where I am in the road. It's a little bit low, but I'll pop them up a bit. And some nice puffy clouds. But the experiment for this painting is I'm gonna try doing this with a fairly limited palette. I normally have a really full range of colors available to me, but it's something I've been wanting to try and play with a little bit. Is just sort of restraining the color palette a little bit and seeing what I can do with just a few. So I'm going to limit myself in this one to yellows, blues, and white. I'm not going to even use any Viridian green for this because I think it's more of a quiet sort of hazy summer day scene, and I think that it really doesn't need bright green. It's almost, I mean, the grass is getting to the point where it's going to start drying out, so it's kind of, yeah, it's not fully lush green grass at this point. So I'm going to try that out. Yeah, so I'll set up my palette with that and then get into it. Before I get started, I want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of this video. Just kidding, there's not a sponsor to this video. But I did want to take a quick minute to mention that since I keep getting asked in the comments if I'm selling my paintings, I am. And if you go ahead and visit my profile, the coffee page, there's a shop on there, and it has paintings and prints available. So if you are interested in that, that's where you can go to see them. So on to the painting. I'm going to go ahead and just top up the colors I expect to be using. So I've got cadmium yellow, and this is a kind of a warmer yellow. And then I've got cadmium yellow light, which is I'm going to put it behind the cadmium yellow. And this is more of like a sort of lemony yellow color. It's more of like a bright true yellow. It's not green, it's not orange, it's just a bright yellow. Alrighty, and this is yellow ochre, which is sort of more of a dull brown yellow, but it also can be when you don't put it on really thick or when you mix it with a little bit of white, it gets pretty bright. So I'm going to play around with those and see kind of how I can push them. And then for my blues, I have a lot of yellows and a lot of blues. So I've got phthalo blue here. I've also got sevres blue, which is a sort of lighter phthalo. I think it's actually the same pigment as phthalo, maybe with one other pigment added to it. So let's see. If you're ever curious, and you won't be able to see this, but if you look on the back of a paint, you can see what the name of the pigments are. So this one has just PB15 in it, and this has PB15 and PW6. So it's got two pigments in it, but one of them is the same. Oh, I guess I know what that is. The other one is titanium white, I'm pretty sure. So I'll put that out, and there it is. And ultramarine blue French. And I'll top up the white too. For the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to use regular titanium white. I'm not going to use any unbleached titanium today, just because less is more, right? So, let's see. I think for a liquid layer, I'm going to do sort of a liquid light blue layer, which will be closely related to the sky color in this, and help me just kind of create some more depth with the hills in the background. Yeah, that feels good. Oh, the other thing I'm doing today is I'm working on a canvas. This is a canvas I stretched myself, so it's a little bit nicer than the ones that I normally work on. It's got a nice crisp edge, and I went ahead and painted the edges black already, which is why you might be able to see the tape and a little bit of black paint here, but this I'm going to be going over. But just to see how I like that. But same size as normal, just a little bit different grade of canvas, so trying new things. Okay. Alrighty. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and get that first color mixed up. I'm gonna do a liquid layer on the whole thing, just probably one tone for this. I think that'll be nice. I'm gonna try a little ultramarine for this actually. Let's see how this goes. So, yellows and blues only. Really shouldn't be too tough for this scene, I don't think, but I'm gonna take just my usual mix for this. So, a little bit of my lavender spike solvent and a little bit of linseed oil. Should I add a barn in this? It doesn't have a barn, but I feel like it would maybe have a barn in it. Could have a barn. I don't have to decide what color to make my barn since I said yellow and blue only. Might be a good challenge. A little bit more, I think. See how this goes. I may end up kind of putting this sky in twice just to, if the black edge doesn't cover up enough. But that's part of the experiment. Titanium's pretty durable, so it may just cover right up anyway. I'm also curious about this canvas, if it will, how much paint it will sort of absorb. Looks okay. Looks like that might cover just fine. Giving that a little extra attention than I normally would. I kind of like my paintings framed, but it's good to have options. So if it has a nice clean edge, you can kind of do whatever with it. And in fact, these are like sharper than the store-bought canvases on the edges. Hopefully I have enough paint for the middle too. It'll work out one way. Here we go. A little bit more thinner, a little bit of linseed oil. Probably enough. Does feel a bit springier too, which I kind of like. Let's get the brush. Let's see. Let's see how it does with the knife. A little bit more paint on there. Okay, I'm going to mix up just a little bit more so I'm not stretching it too far. I can. I can get it close. So the lower part of the painting is going to be darker in general, so on some level this is going to just serve to fill it in a little bit. It's actually okay if it is a little dark. That's why it's usually better to mix up a little extra, but it's early, we're not locked into anything. There we go. There. Maybe I'll use this to start figuring out some of my shapes. Just kind of starting to look like a snow scene now. I'm good with snow scenes for a little bit, I think. The perspective on this is going to be tricky too, because it's kind of a windy path. I want it to sort of flow over this hill and also sort of recede and wind at the right rate, I guess. filled in. That looks pretty good. Alright, so I'm going to start by just sketching in some of these forms. Sneaky knife. Go ahead and let's see. I don't want to wash that brush out yet. I think it doesn't really need it yet. Let's see where I go from here. Alright, so put in, so I want a slightly darker color. I want a slightly duller blue. So how would I do that if I'm not going to mix in a complement? Let's see. Try a little bit of this yellow ochre. It's a bit warm, and a little bit of this yellow ochre. So yellow ochre and ultramarine. Just trying to figure out kind of what I can do with these. So I've got some phthalo and yellow ochre. Let's see what they do. Okay, that's pretty green. Obviously I can move around in between these as well. If I were to do, it's going to be the closest to a gray. I'm kind of trying to get to a gray. I think that might be fairly good. I'm going to try that to start with. So I've got, it's really more of a brown, but I'm going to try that for my kind of darker cloud color. Mixing it into this light blue that I already have made. Just gonna try and put this in here. Start thinking about cloud shapes a little bit. I'm gonna probably blend a lot of these out too, but yellow is so intense. It's all weird and green. That. Just gonna brush this out a bit. Just make it a little soft. Just put some sort of varied colors in the sky. And start kind of modeling some clouds out of this too. Be a good one for anyone who always asks why don't I do the clouds first? Or the sky first. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. Let's go a little bit more golden-y. I wonder if this is gonna have might have a really stormy look. I won't really know until I have more of it kind of laid out, so I'm not going to even really worry about a lot of details right now. Okay. Go ahead and put in a fairly blue really blue-green, sort of mountain hillside here. These Vermont mountains are they're not so pointy. They're more rounded. Not like those western U.S. mountains that are all sharp. We don't really have those out here. But I still think they're really pretty. So I'm going a little bit lighter for like a sort of receded hill, and then I'm going a little bit brighter for one that's coming up a little closer. That's the idea right now anyway. And then I'm gonna have some trees that come in around here too. Okay. Sketching in some darks here. Phthalo and cadmium, that might be my darkest dark. So keep this little tree line back here isn't quite as far off. Start working that in. Kind of has these two hills here. Just kind of blending this down. I don't want this to sort of be too strong. All right, and that tree line. Trying to work out some of these layers here. Here I've got different trees. Okay. That's starting to make some amount of sense. Okay. So I need some more dark trees. I'm gonna go phthalo and cadmium for these again. Trying to block these in. I think I'm going to do it with a couple of different tones. Not going to worry about really detailing any of them yet, though. Just kind of want them as a group to be in the right location. Okay. a little warmer and a little lighter. So let's try this yellow. Oh, I've got yellow ochre, a little bit of that phthalo mix that I made, a little bit of titanium white. It's kind of like a puzzle. You're trying to translate different colors into a different palette. So I'm trying to think in terms of dark and light and warm and cool. And that kind of thing. That kind of works. Okay. Simplify this a little bit here. And then I've got sort of a very light area. Let's skip over that for now. Keep kind of building up these dark shapes here. A lot of different sort of edge plants. They're all kind of tipping over in different directions. I want to try and paint these so that they look like they have a lot of dimension to them and aren't too sort of regular, I guess. I'm grabbing some white for this area, and I'm going to do a little cad yellow. This is one of the lighter colors I've made. I'm still keeping the blue on my knife from earlier, so it's kind of almost a light yellowy gray. Just kind of throwing this in here just to start to warm up some of these foreground lights. Not really even mixing this too much, kind of just popping it in there. Gotta get a sort of more medium green gray kind of color in here. Start working with that. Kind of doing the thing I usually do, where I work from generally cool to generally warm. I might even feel like a lot of this canvas weave showing through right now is actually kind of nice. I may keep more of that than I generally do. Not really so much the canvas as the light blue coming through everything. Let's see. And then I need kind of a sandy tone for a lot of this sort of road surface. This is starting to get into this perspective that I didn't really lay out very much, so I'll hopefully get it right. I think that's fairly good there. Got a lot of green in the middle. Put down some more yellow ochre over here. Sort of edge area. a little bit lighter. Here I'm getting a little bit darker. Keep working in there. Gotta do this like middle of the path area. This needs to be fairly light actually. At least right here it does. Okay, say that it comes in about a third of the way. Try and make that again. Some of these colors are not normal combinations that I do, so just remembering how I got there. It's a little tricky. It's pretty good though. Do a little more of this cadmium phthalo dark. Just kind of filling in some more general colors back here a little bit. Got even a little bit of, weirdly, a greener green. Yeah, that's a bright one. So probably the most saturated green that I can make is phthalo blue and the cadmium yellow light. There's a couple of spots back quite a ways off where it's really close to that green. I'm adding a little bit of white to them to kind of lift them up, but I'm seeing it in these back hills. Kind of cool because it pops out of this area here with the trees. Okay, a little bit more dull version of that, going a little bit further back. Okay. So I'm just trying to a little bit light. it's gonna be interesting trying to get this contour of this road really sort of locked in the right amount. Road kind of, it's like it actually goes down into this like sort of little ditch. So it's gonna take some pretty good control of the tones to get this to actually read correctly. But I think it's gonna work. I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic than I did at the start. Okay. I go for cadmium yellow and titanium white. So I want to get kind of a warm light. This might be too intense. It's a little strong. I'm gonna just scoop up some of this mud and put it in there. Just want to start working in this line here though. A little bit lighter, a little bit warmer. In a way, I think another thing that happens is that by having to simplify the palette, it actually makes you look even more carefully at what's happening here. I'm actually pretty happy with this. I think the other thing that can happen is if you have a green on your palette, it's so easy to try to make everything green instead of looking at like what real shade of green is it. Let's try ultramarine and cad yellow. Just see what that does. Does it make a nice, really warm blue-green? It's kind of gray looking, but actually it's working. I've got this like red plant in here that I was like, what do you do with red? And so I just mixed my warmest blue and my warmest yellow together, and that might be about as close as I'm gonna get to red on this palette. But it actually does seem to be working, so that's kind of cool. Really neat. Okay, so I'll go a slightly darker version of that. I'm adding in a little phthalo to it just to go a little bit more blue. I probably should have gone a bit less than that, but I'll just start putting these in here. bit more of those same colors over here. Start popping those in. I like these little pops of ultramarine, actually. That looks really good here. I like that it's giving a shadow, but it's a really warm shadow, which is kind of nice. Using a little bit of some kind of dirty cad yellow here. Just along this edge of this track. I'm gonna probably cover up a lot of this, but I kind of like having some bits of it sort of showing through. I wonder what other color combinations would be fun to do this with. Okay, so I need to get this sort of darker middle road area filled in. Kind of, it's darker than the darker than the tracks, so I think I need a little bit more of that warm shadow tone. I'm gonna try a little bit more. That was phthalo. We'll do some phthalo cadmium mud. I'll put that. So I've got it. I know I'll use it again. Alright, but what I actually wanted was the ultramarine and cadmium. That's what it was. That was my warm tone. My warm green. And then on this side I need more of this light sort of grassy green here. Just keep weaving in these colors. It's a little bit more green into this area here. Yeah, it's the kind of painting that would have been really boring if I had done it in just regular green. It would have been wrong. I think I'm actually getting much closer to the tones here. Admittedly, I have probably had a lot more practice painting snow than grass. So. Alright, so that's pretty good. A couple more little dashes of that. I'll mix in some cadmium in this too. Just make a slightly warm version. Okay. And then here I've got, this is a kind of cooler green area mostly. A little bit more phthalo. A little bit too dark. Just get in here. Still a bit dark. Might want one more value in here, a little bit greener actually. Might have been what was a little off. I'll probably switch knives in a little bit and just work on some of these shapes now. What I do, let's see, I still want to get these sort of shadow shapes in here. Oh my gosh, stomach, stop. It's coming along. It's getting a good look to it. So this area I haven't really filled in at all, but I do want, it's basically is light. Keep building up these little sort of hedge plants that are tipping over. bit more white, a little bit more yellow ochre. Actually, a lot more white. I'll just start filling in some of these spots anyway. I keep this one to all knife too. I like the texture of it, and I feel like it keeps it a simpler process. I've got enough going on in my head right now. So I'm trying. This kind of has this like scooped out texture here. It's a little warmer on this side. It makes a good gray color, actually. Okay. And over here, a little bit of that too. Just try and keep a little bit of color consistency across things that are sort of similar to each other. Track is kind of filled in. It's a little bit more of a warm yellow over there. Let's see. I would recommend. It's a good exercise if you're wanting to make your green paintings a little bit more exciting. I'd recommend it. I think this gets a thumbs up. All right. Let's see. I was saying I was going to keep this all knife, and now I'm kind of like at this point where I've filled in a lot of it, and I'm changing my mind. Because I want to kind of work it a little bit more. With this tree line here, it's kind of nice. It's got some different things happening. Got actually a little bit more of a tree line happening here that I kind of didn't manage to bring in before. Let's do that. Bring it over here. And then these trees here. It's pretty happy tree right there. Just kind of flipping my brush around in different directions here. Kind of moving down into this space here too, just to have some of these shapes sticking out. It's really good. And bring this kind of light, darker edge in here. Just bring this piece a little closer. Sort of blend it into this. Good look to it. Let's see. A little bit of a dark edge down there. Probably go back in there with the knife actually. Sort of figure this little pathway out. Lately I've been really into this like refining with a brush thing. I feel like the knife lets me get good colors, and then the brush lets me kind of refine my shapes a little bit. Just kind of create a little bit more motion that's a little bit more intentional, since I don't have quite the same level of control with the knife. For shapes anyway. For colors, lots of control. Shapes, a lot less. All right. Yeah, you know, make nice grass shapes like that. It's like, even though these would be very chunky pieces of grass, I don't mind that. I feel like that's a kind of a style choice. I still like to think about these as more as volumes than as every individual blade drawn here. Oh, paint was a little thick there. Like, sometimes that's cool, sometimes it's extra. There we go. A little bit more settled in that way. I'm gonna get a little bit lighter coming forward here. So what I do, I have to get a little bit more white. Let's see. Start with that though. Some nice sharper blades here now. Now that I kind of have a little bit more structure to it. Just pulling out those blades. It's kind of the way I like to infer on animal portraits too. It's just like get some layers, and then once you've built them up, you can just sort of drag things and add to your whole look. Try not to get too robotic about it though. Try and just let it be a little messy, let it be fun. Like that a lot. Alright. That might be a nice place to leave it for now. I'm going to come back and add some different sort of highlight details. I got some cool flowers over here on the side actually. Just want to pop those in. They're kind of nice. Let's see. Any more of those? Yeah, I think I'll let this set up a little bit and then come back in and work with it a little bit more, but I'm pretty happy with where it's going so far. I feel like it's got a nice feel. It's got a good variety of colors. I think I'll probably like continue to kind of lighten and warm it up a little bit more as I tend to do. But yeah, cool. All right. Well, I'll be back in a few. Let's see this mud mix. Just pop it over on the side of the canvas here, or palette here. Alright, scrape that one more time. I'm finding sometimes it's good to have a sort of in-between color, so that can wait for later. And all right, let's see. Clean this out. little easier to have a palette that's clean to work on for this. A lot of weight in these bristles. Maybe it was because I didn't clean them out right away. That's what happens with procrastination, I guess. That looks good though. Clean out my little brush too. This knife also. Every once in a while I find one that I should have cleaned before and I didn't. The knives are easy to clean normally if you treat them well. Which I try to. I have to let this one soak. Don't sit in there actually. Any other knives that need to do that? Stay in there too. I had a couple that looked like they got into trouble. Alright. Well, I'll be back in a few. Well, hello. And I'm back. Yeah, I'm liking how this is coming out so far. It's still pretty wet. I'm not gonna even put my fingers in it because I know that it is definitely quite goopy still, but it's set up a lot since I was working on it yesterday. So I think really at this point I'm gonna just keep putting in some nice textures. I'm gonna work up some of the brightest greens in here, especially in the foreground. And yeah, just keep working on the contrast a little bit. It's a little, to me it looks a little bit light. For some reason it looked a little lighter than it actually is on the camera too though, so that might be not real. But I'm gonna just keep working into it. I think it has a nice impressionist look right now. It gets a good interpretation off of all the colors that I'm working with, and yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna be a good one. I want to go back into the sky and bring some of the blues of the sky up a little bit, just give a little bit more form and a little bit more light to the clouds. So I've been enjoying doing them in kind of two parts. So this is a good time to go back in and refine them a little bit more. I think I'll probably start there. Yeah, and then I think I'm gonna use some fun knives on the closest grasses and just kind of bring up that texture a lot more. See what I can do with it. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna stay with the same colors I was working with, so no additional colors unless I feel crazy in the end and I decide to, but so far the plan is to stick to the same set. So I'll probably do that. There it is. We'll go with my favorite little cloud knife to start with. And get a little bit more titanium white out. Actually, yeah, I'll use just regular titanium white. I want to keep this fairly bright. In general, I think pretty much all of the sort of background area here, maybe with the exception of these trees, I might pull out a little bit more detail. I'm probably going to try not to touch any of this. And then I'll be kind of working into the sky a little bit, bringing a little bit more dimension in the clouds, and then working in the foreground where I want to really pull your attention in a little bit more. So that's the idea. We'll see how it goes. So grab a bunch of white and a little bit of Sevres blue to start. Just gonna see where I end up with that. fairly good. I'll put just a little bit of linseed oil in this as well, just to help it spread out a little nicer. Like that. That's actually... I worry that I'm being a little bit lazy with this as a sky color, but it does just pretty much work every time. So we'll go with that. I'm gonna sort of outline a few clouds here. I'm gonna try and simplify these a little bit. So I'm just looking for kind of my biggest blue patches in the sky. I've been enjoying doing this in kind of two parts because it lets me kind of have these like really varied midtones here, these will be the midtones of my clouds, and then I have a little bit of room to work some highlights and additionally add some shadows. I don't think I really need a lot of shadows in these. They're pretty much as dark as they need to be at this point, so just kind of moving in a little space in between them there. And a little bit more down here too. I'm gonna clean these up with a brush a little bit also. A little bit down here. As these clouds get further back, they get a little bit smaller, so yeah, just as they get further back, the clouds get smaller, so I'm just trying to kind of get this little blue line here. I like this sort of impression of like these little thinner clouds down here. Your kind of upper clouds that are more overhead are going to always be kind of the biggest shapes. You've got layers like this anyway. A little bit with some brushes too. Just get the edge here a little bit nicer. Mainly just kind of getting the end of the paint in the right spots first. So do that. I'm just going to grab this fairly small square brush here. Kind of adjust these shapes a little bit. So we're really painting the area sort of behind these clouds, just to kind of bring up the definition a little bit. Skies it's good when they're kind of made up of a lot of layers, I think. I'm trying not to even really think about this too much. I'm just looking at the shapes I see and trying to emulate them a bit. It looks pretty good there. So the other side of this I want to put a little thought into. So I'm going to wipe my knife off and just get a little bit of pure white. I might even put just a dash of this lemon yellow in. I'll just put it there to think about including. And that, and maybe just a tiny bit. Just want to make it glow just a little. The smallest amount. I think that'll work. Just do the same thing, just a tiny touch of linseed oil. This will help this smooth on a little bit easier. Okay. Just go in here and touch just these edges where there's these little wisps that are sort of flying up. Somehow I just find it a lot easier to control when I separate it out. Just kick up the contrast a little bit more later. It's pretty nice. Get a little edge here. Some really puffy ones. And the other thing you can do if you're building them up like this is you can actually sort of adjust these so they're not, like I'm putting them all in as one color, but when I blend them a little bit, they'll have a little bit more variety, which I think tends to work out fairly well. Going with my same brush, I'm just gonna wipe it off a little bit on my cloth here. Just start back here, just start blending that in just a little bit. Maybe even just grab a little bit on the brush. That one I wanted to have a little extra softness to it. The same thing here. Just going, leaving this kind of top edge a little sharper, and then this bottom edge I'm seeing a little bit more softness, so kind of fading that out a little bit more. You do this, you'll get a feel for it eventually, I think. I think clouds are, in a way, they're easy, but they're challenging. They intimidate a lot of people. Just the other thing I'm looking at is kind of the shapes of this and sort of where these little tails and sort of soft lit forms, sort of how they travel around. So just put a little bit of movement into them too. A little edge up here, so a little bit more going on. They're now a little thicker there. I'm also not being too careful to do this exact. I'm just trying to get the overall feel of it about right. It's sort of getting there though. The other thing you can do is when you do this process, if you blend it out too much, you can always go back and put more in, and that will work fine. So I'll probably might even do that on here a little bit, just to keep shaping it up a little bit more. I do like that. It's pretty good. But theoretically, say I want to do a little bit more of a shape there. Just put a little bit of extra volume. I can pop back in here. I'm like wiggling this knife a little bit. Helps me get kind of some different shapes in those edges. Pretty nice. Just do a little bit more shaping. A couple little highlights down here too. There we go. That works pretty well. Okay, the other thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to, while I've got this brush out, I'm just going to sneak in here and just refine this tree line just a little bit more. It's a little hard to get in there with the knife only, so a little bit more paint will help. I don't need a lot of definition here anyway. This is pretty soft, pretty far away. It's just kind of creating a little bit of form. There we go. That looks pretty nice. So I think I'm gonna do mix up. I want a couple more greens in this area here. I feel like this is looking a little flat. I think like a brighter green, a little bit kind of streaked through here. I like all this contrast though. I think I could do a little bit more contrast in this middle area. And I'm just gonna kind of keep working it. The nice thing about oil paints when you let them set a little bit is you can go back into them and it's sort of like you're working on it the first time, but then you also have, it's a little bit more controlled. It gets a little bit slick after a while once you've covered the whole thing in paint, but I find a little bit of rest time, it just gives you just a little bit more. So let's go ahead. I'm going to make up a few colors. I'm going to make up a super green. We'll call this super green. This is going to be a bunch of phthalo blue and a bunch of cadmium yellow light. Actually, I need a lot of that. Try that. We'll call that super green. So that is probably the highest chromatic green, I guess, that I can make. And I could probably even make it more yellow. If I need to get more of the tube, I will, but okay. So I've got that. And I just throw a little of that in here. It's pretty dark, but it's kind of nice. Yeah, I like the saturation it's kind of bringing in. I like that the side of this knife is not very long. Sometimes the bigger knives, it's more difficult to get the right amount in. Alright, so I like that. And the other green I wanted to make was sort of a most dark. And that was going to be, that was kind of that brown color that I made before. For that I used ultramarine and cadmium yellow, which was a weird combination I've never really used before. But it fit the bill for this, so we'll try it out again. I think between the two of those will be kind of like, I'm able to get the darkest greens that I'll have here. A little bit of that, a bunch of that. Let's see. Maybe it is a lot of yellow. I didn't want to do too much yellow, but it's such a strange color. It's so funny to see these next to each other on the palette. They're both technically green. They're both made of yellow and blue. But you can see what a difference depending which yellow and which blue. Get different results. Okay, this is like definitely like a dark, like sort of olive. All right, let's see. Okay. So now I think I'll take a little bit more of this and just start putting in some more of these sort of shadow shapes down low. Got those. I'm going to do a little bit more. What else? Should I switch knives? I'm going to try some other ones. Let's try this. I think of this as still my wolf knife because I did the wolf painting in this, but I know I could have other uses, but it's always kind of my wolf knife now. Alright. I do like it for grass though, this is nice. Especially if you just use, this whole blade is kind of big, but if you just use like half of it. I'm planning to kind of go back in, change the shape of it a little bit. I'm gonna put some highlights back into this as well, but I was just kind of thinking. Seeing these, I think it's like these, you have to kind of go up to do the shape of the grass and then over to do the shape of the shadow a little bit. It's the theory anyway. Then here, I only really get the shadow, I don't really see the side of the grass. The shadows actually stretch out a bit further too. Pretty good. I take a bit more blue, do a slightly bluer variation here. Just throw this in. Try a little bit of this, a little bit of white mixed into it. I like, that's kind of nice. The combination of the sort of really thin edge and then going over kind of the base of it with this. It's kind of catching these in a nice way. Even gonna get a little lighter and a little yellower. Let's try that. It's starting to get a little more dimension there. I like that. And here I've got some more varied plants set a little bit further back. See a little more of a different shape to them. So I'm just trying to try that out and maybe adjust their color just a little bit more too. Maybe a little of this cad yellow even. A little of this too. Try and get a few different tones going on in there. Okay, and then here I've got a little bit more. I might have to come back to this area and accentuate them a little bit, but I'll try going pretty bright here. Let's see how this looks. Maybe a little yellow ochre and a little bit of titanium. It's kind of nice. I get these. There's like this. I guess it's the sort of glow of the top of all these plants. Kind of waving in the breeze. A little bit more white. A little bit of cad yellow. aside for a little bit. I'll go back to my first one. I think simple's good. Let's stick with simple for a little bit. I'd like to try and define, yeah, just a couple more, just like bright strands coming out of all this stuff. I had a few real nice ones, and then they got covered. It happens. I love this. And like the crazy thing is, like, as I'm standing here, this is like at my head height. Like there's so much stuff going on. So it's actually like a little bit intimidating. Like you feel like you can't really, you can kind of see stuff, but I think I like picked the camera up pretty high to even take this. So. Go. No. And I teased about putting a barn in here, but I just don't think it needs it. There's no obvious place to put one. So I'm gonna just keep doing what I'm doing. To bring a little bit more light onto the path. Kind of just gives this like a little bit more of a rocky texture, and also just gives you that like dead of summer hot look somehow. Do a little bit more. Same here. This side actually isn't quite as bright. I think it's probably because of the deeper shade. This is like a really green area. I think I'm gonna just see if I can make anywhere near this color. Every time I use this yellow light, I end up using a ton of it. It's not one of my like regular colors that I use all the time, but when I do, I end up using it a huge amount because it's not very strong, but like you can use it with the phthalo to get pretty bright. It's not too bad. Just give this little area of pasture that just really does look greener than everything else, and it's kind of draws your eye in a nice way. It's sort of way back here. trees back there as well. Just pop them in here a little bit. Okay, and then I just want to go a little bit dark and into these trees over here a little bit more. Kind of a darker green. I'm putting that on the left side. That seems to be where most of my light is coming from. Just giving these trees a little bit more shape. I need to make this one really tall, all the way up into the sky. It's not really, or what kind of tree this is. It's not really an evergreen, actually. It's something with some leaves on it. Probably could even have a little bit of a lighter highlight on it. The evergreens don't light up as much, but these deciduous trees seem to do that a little bit more. I like the silhouette against the sky, though. Might put a little bit more dark in there just to help that. It's kind of nice. I like that. Clean this knife again. Try not to mix green into my yellows. I want to do just a little bit more with these yellow highlights. Just a little white. Just a little tiniest bit of yellow ochre. Yeah, there we go. That's a nice sunny yellow if you get it really clean with the white. So I'm just grabbing a little edge there, and then I want to just put a little bit more variation in. I use that little knife to do some with it, but I felt like it looked a little too regular. mixing it up a little bit. A little bit of blue I'm picking up from somewhere. Try not to do too much of that, but it's already pretty messy painting. I like it. Yeah, it's got a nice impressionist look to it, I think. Do a little bit more of this light on this grass here. You can, if you have a lot of patience, you can paint really realistic grass. Basically, it's just filling in a really dark area and then bringing lots of light strokes over it like this. If you like that sort of thing. But, you know, layer enough things and watch your kind of overall values and it'll make sense. I want to stay mostly out of this area here. I don't need to be in there. What am I doing? Okay, I'm gonna leave that mostly alone. I think it's doing just fine without me causing it more trouble. Just a little more trouble. Felt like it needed just a little bit of definition there, maybe. I could bring up some really big blades of grass here, actually. That might be kind of nice. It's good. I think I'm gonna leave this one here. I think it being easier than I thought it was gonna be. I like the colors a lot, though. I think that it really did work to bring a lot of variety to the greens rather than just thinking of it as all green. So I've got the greens, the blues, the golds, a little bit of red, and yeah, I like it a lot. I hope you do too. Yeah, I'm gonna stop here. But I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night, or whatever you're up to next.